For ages, no one fought back, until the humans did. Captain Lisa Young stood at the viewport of the Earth exploration vessel Defiance, her eyes fixed on the devastation below. The Novan colony world, once thriving with life and culture, now lay in ruins. Smoke rose from craters where cities had stood only days before. The silence on the bridge was heavy as the crew took in the grim scene. "Scan for survivors," Lisa ordered, her voice steady despite the tightness in her chest. Jack Palmer, her second-in-command, looked up from his console. "Captain, we should report this to Earth Command immediately. If whoever did this comes back, we're not leaving until we know if anyone survived," Lisa cut him off. "Ben, prepare a landing party." Science Officer Ben Rivera nodded and moved to gather his equipment. Unlike many of his colleagues who preferred the safety of laboratory work, Ben had always volunteered for field missions. Today, his expertise would be needed more than ever. The shuttle descended through the atmosphere, landing in what had once been the central plaza of the main Novan settlement. The air was thick with dust and the smell of destruction. Lisa led her team of 6 through the rubble, their environmental suits protecting them from the contaminated air. "Life signs detected," Ben announced, pointing toward a partially collapsed structure. "It's faint, but someone's alive in there." They worked quickly to clear a path through the debris. Inside, they found a cluster of Novans, tall, slender beings, with iridescent skin that had lost much of its luster. Most were dead, but one elder still clung to life. Ben knelt beside the dying alien, medical scanner in hand. "I can ease the pain, but there's too much internal damage," he said quietly. The Novan's eyes, 3 of them arranged in a triangle, focused on Lisa. A weak voice emerged, helped by Ben's translation device. "You should not have come." The elder wheezed. "They will return. The Zelaxians always return." Lisa crouched down. "Who are these Zelaxians? Why did they attack your people?" The elder's breathing grew more labored. "They come. They demand. We serve or die. For centuries, they have swept through the stars. No one fights, we all submit. It is the way." "We detected your colony 2 months ago," Lisa said. "You seemed peaceful, advanced. Why didn't you defend yourselves?" A sound like bitter laughter escaped the Novan. "Defense? Impossible. Their technology, too powerful. Better to survive as slaves than die in resistance. All species learn this one when the Zelaxians come." The elder reached up with a trembling hand and pressed something into Lisa's palm, a small crystal device. "Our history. Our knowledge. Take it. Go from this place. We can help your survivors," Lisa insisted. "No survivors," the Novan whispered. "Only those who hide. Like us. We failed to evacuate in time. The others were taken for processing. They belong to the Empire now." The elder's eyes dimmed, and Ben's scanner confirmed what they already knew. The Novan was gone. Back aboard the Defiance. The mood was somber as Ben analyzed the crystal device. The data revealed a history more disturbing than they had imagined. For nearly 300 years, the Zelaxian Empire had methodically conquered dozens of species across their sector of the galaxy. Their technological superiority made resistance seemingly futile. Most species surrendered after a single demonstration of Zelaxian power. According to this, Ben explained to the gathered senior crew, the Novans are just the latest in a long line. The Zelaxians follow the same pattern each time. They detect a developing civilization, study it from afar, then strike with overwhelming force at population centers. Once a species surrenders, they're incorporated into the Empire as a servant race. Jack Palmer shook his head. "We need to get this information back to Earth immediately. We're not equipped to handle something like this." "I agree," Lisa said. "But first we'll search for any Novan survivors. I refuse to believe no one escaped." Their search revealed a small group of Novans hiding in an underground shelter. As the Defiance crew helped them to the surface, alarm klaxons blared from the ship. "Captain!" The urgent voice of Lieutenant Kelly Adams came through Lisa's communicator. 3 vessels just entered the system. Configuration unknown. but they're heading directly for the colony. Lisa looked at the frightened Novans. Get them aboard. Now. The Defiance was not a warship. As an exploration vessel, it carried only minimal defensive capabilities, enough to fend off asteroids or the occasional aggressive wildlife, not an advanced alien armada. As they rushed back to the ship, Lisa's mind raced through their options. They've detected us, Kelly reported as Lisa reached the bridge. On the main screen, 3 sleek, predatory-looking vessels approached. Their design was unlike anything in Earth's database. Asymmetrical, with jutting angles that somehow looked both elegant and menacing. Hail them, Lisa ordered. No response came except for a targeted scan that made the Defiance's systems flicker. They're trying to access our computers, Ben warned from his station. Jack looked at Lisa. Captain, we need to retreat now. Lisa hesitated for only a moment. No, if we run, they'll just follow us back to Earth. Earth needs to know what these Kazalaxians are capable of. She turned to weapons control. Target the lead ship's propulsion systems. The crew stared at her in disbelief. Captain, Jack questioned. We're outgunned. They're not expecting resistance, Lisa explained. According to the Novan data, no one ever fights back. That's our advantage. The Defiance shuddered as the first Zalaxian ship fired a warning shot across their bow. Evasive maneuvers, Lisa commanded. Kelly, plot a course that brings us in close to the smallest vessel. Ben, I need everything you can tell me about potential weaknesses in their design. The next few minutes were chaos as the Defiance weaved between enemy fire. The ship wasn't built for such maneuvers, but Lisa's unconventional approach confused the Zalaxians, who were clearly accustomed to targets that either surrendered or fled in a predictable pattern. When they closed in on the smallest Zalaxian vessel, Lisa gave the order to fire. The Defiance's modest weapons struck with precision, hitting what Ben had identified as a likely power coupling. The effect was immediate. The Zalaxian ship listed to one side, lights flickering across its hull. Direct hit, Kelly exclaimed. Now get us out of here, Lisa ordered. Maximum speed. As the Defiance accelerated away from the Novan system, the 2 undamaged Zalaxian vessels moved to assist their disabled companion rather than give chase, another sign they rarely encountered resistance. Lisa looked around at her stunned crew, then at the frightened Novan refugees they had rescued. Send a priority message to Earth Command, she told Jack. Tell them humanity has just entered a war no one else was willing to fight. For ages, no one fought back, until the humans did. 6 months had passed since the Defiance returned to Earth with its alarming news and the Novan refugees. The United Earth Defense Council chamber buzzed with tense energy as Admiral Diane Carter stood before the assembled representatives from Earth's nations. The Zalaxian scout vessels have been detected in 3 more star systems near our borders, Admiral Carter said, pointing to the glowing dots on the large display. They're following their standard pattern, observation before invasion. Kevin Wright, the head intelligence officer, stepped forward. His usually neat uniform looked wrinkled, evidence of the long hours he had been working. Our deep space monitoring stations have picked up increased activity here, and here, he said, highlighting several points on the star map. We believe they're establishing forward bases for a future conquest of Earth. A murmur ran through the chamber. The council members exchanged worried glances. What about diplomatic options? Asked the representative from the African Union. Have we attempted communication? Admiral Carter shook her head. The Novans made that clear. The Zalaxians don't negotiate. They demand complete submission, or they destroy resistance until submission is the only option remaining. In another part of the Earth Defense Complex, Dr. Maria Sullivan worked tirelessly with the Novan survivors. As an expert in alien languages, she had made remarkable progress in understanding not just Novan communication, but also the languages of other species mentioned in the Novan historical records. Your pronunciation is improving, she told Seltir, the youngest of the Novan refugees. Now, tell me again about the Tarani communication methods. The slender alien blinked its 3 eyes in sequence, a gesture Maria had learned was similar to a human nod. Tarani use color patterns with sound, Seltir explained in halting English. Their skin changes when they speak, important for full meaning. Maria made notes on her tablet. The Terrani were one of several species that had been under Zalaxian rule for generations. If Earth was going to build resistance against the Zalaxian Empire, they would need allies, even reluctant ones. Meanwhile, Commander Sam Russell prepared his team for their most dangerous mission yet. The Special Operations Room was filled with Earth's finest soldiers, each chosen for their unique skills. "This is not a standard mission," Sam told them, his voice firm. "We're going into Zalaxian-controlled space to make contact with potential allies. According to the Novan intelligence, there are resistance cells on some of the conquered worlds. People who haven't given up even after generations of subjugation." A young lieutenant raised his hand. "Sir, how do we know these resistance fighters will trust us? We're complete strangers to them." Sam nodded toward the back of the room where two Novans stood silently. "That's why our friends are coming with us. They'll vouch for our intentions." 3 days later, Sam's stealth ship slipped through the darkness of space. Its advanced cloaking technology, developed using insights from the Novan data crystal, hiding them from Zalaxian sensors. They approached Terrani Prime, once the homeworld of a proud spacefaring civilization, now a production hub for the Zalaxian Empire. "Entering orbit," the pilot announced quietly, as if the Zalaxians might hear them through the vacuum of space. "Take us down near the coordinates the Novans provided," Sam ordered. The landing was tense, but uneventful. Under the cover of night, Sam's team made their way through the dense, blue-tinged forest toward the meeting point. The air was breathable but had a sweet smell that made some of the humans dizzy. "Stay alert," Sam whispered. "We don't know if—" He stopped as shadowy figures emerged from the trees around them. Tall, willowy beings with skin that rippled with colors stood with primitive but deadly-looking weapons aimed at the humans. One of the Novan refugees stepped forward, raising empty hands. It spoke in a series of clicks and color patterns formed. On its skin, a crude approximation of Terrani speech. The lead Terrani responded, its skin flashing rapidly. The tension in the clearing was thick enough to cut with a knife. Finally, the Terrani lowered its weapon and approached Sam. Up close, he could see that its eyes were large and completely black, reflecting the starlight like polished obsidian. "You fight Zalaxians?" the alien asked in broken universal trade language which the Novans had taught the humans. "Yes," Sam replied simply. "Will you help us?" The Terrani leader studied him for a long moment. "Why fight? All who fight, die." "Not this time," Sam said. "Humans don't surrender easily." Back on Earth, a tense diplomatic summit took place on Luna Base. Representatives from 3 subjugated species, smuggled back by Sam's team over several missions, sat across from Earth's leaders. The atmosphere was frigid, and not just because of the moon's environmental systems. "You do not understand what you face," said Kurtal, an elder Terrani diplomat, whose skin had faded to pale blue with age. "My people have known nothing but submission. For 12 generations, the Zalaxians cannot be defeated." Admiral Carter leaned forward. "With respect, Elder Kurtal, we believe they can be, but we need information and we need allies." The Vex representative, a squat being with tough bark-like skin, let out a sound like grinding stones. "Information we can provide. Ships, weapons, soldiers. These we have few of. The Zalaxians do not permit armed vessels among the servant races." Colonel Alan Fisher, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "We don't expect you to fight our battles, but with your knowledge of Zalaxian tactics, weaknesses, patrol routes—" An alarm suddenly blared through the base. The alien representatives flinched visibly, some reaching for hidden weapons. "Admiral," a voice came through the communication system. "We've detected a Zalaxian probe entering the system. It appears to be on a standard reconnaissance pattern." The room fell silent. The Elydian representative, whose tentacled face made expressions difficult for humans to read, spoke with clear fear in its voice. "Hide. You must hide. If they detect this meeting—" Admiral Carter exchanged a look with Colonel Fisher, then tapped her communication badge. "This is Admiral Carter. Intercept and neutralize the probe. Do not allow it to transmit." The alien representatives stared at her in shock. "You attack?" the Vex asked, disbelief evident in its rumbling voice. "Yes," Admiral Carter replied simply. "That's what humans do when threatened. We fight back." The aliens watched the tactical display as Earth fighters swarmed the Zalaxian probe. Unlike the clumsy resistance of previous species, the human attack was coordinated and decisive. Within minutes, the probe was disabled, its communication systems destroyed before it could alert its masters. Kurtal's skin rippled with deep purple, a color of profound revelation, Dr. Sullivan would later explain. "Perhaps," the elder Tyranni said slowly, "you humans are different after all." And so, the unlikely alliance began to form, with Earth as its center, the first real resistance the Zalaxian Empire had faced in centuries. For ages, no one fought back, until the humans did. 8 months of intense preparation had transformed Earth's defensive fleet into something new. Ships that once served as peaceful explorers or simple cargo haulers now bristled with weapons. The flagship Indomitable, under Admiral Diane Carter's command, led a formation of 50 vessels toward the jump point. Operation Spartacus was about to begin. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said her communications officer. Admiral Carter studied the tactical display. This would be the first deliberate offensive against the Zalaxian Empire in centuries. Their target, a key supply depot in the Epsilon Eridani system. "Very well," she said. "Signal all ships. Jump on my mark." One by one, the ships of the human-led coalition disappeared into the swirling blue vortex of jump space. Among them were several retrofitted vessels with mixed species crews, former slaves now turned fighters. Captain Lisa Young, now commanding the advanced stealth frigate Shadowfall, led the reconnaissance squad. Her ship had been built using a combination of human ingenuity and alien technology gleaned from their new allies. Its hull was black as space itself, designed to absorb sensor scans rather than reflect them. "Jump complete," announced her navigator. "We're at the edge of the system." Lisa nodded. "Begin passive scans. Let's see what we're dealing with." The Epsilon Eridani system appeared peaceful at first glance. A yellow star surrounded by several planets, the third of which hosted the Zalaxian supply depot. But Lisa's experienced eyes noted the patrol patterns of guard ships and the defensive grid surrounding the main facility. "They have no idea we're here," said Jack Palmer, still serving as her second-in-command despite offers of his own ship. "Their sensors are focused outward, expecting threats from known space lanes." Lisa studied the tactical display. "There's a gap in their sensor coverage near the second moon. If we slip in there, we can get close enough for detailed scans." The Shadowfall moved silently through space, its engines barely registering on any detection equipment. They had nearly reached the optimal scanning position when alarm lights flashed across the bridge. "We've been spotted," the tactical officer reported. "Unknown sensor type just pinged us. They're charging weapons." Lisa's mind raced through options. Evasive maneuvers, ready countermeasures. The Shadowfall twisted away as energy beams sliced through the space they had occupied moments before. 2 Zalaxian patrol ships broke formation and moved to intercept. "Captain, the fleet isn't due for another 20 minutes, Jack reminded her. "I know," Lisa replied. "But we found something interesting. Look at their response pattern. It's rigid, predictable. They expect us to run." As they watched, the Zalaxian ships moved into a standard pursuit formation, exactly as their Tyranni advisors had predicted. The aliens had used the same tactics for centuries because no one had ever effectively countered them. Engineer Paul Davis looked up from his console. "Captain, I think I see a weakness in their defensive grid. Their automated systems all route through that main communications array. If we could disrupt it..." Lisa made her decision. "We're not retreating. Signal the fleet, tell them we're engaged, and request they accelerate their timeline." She turned to her tactical officer. "Target that communications array. Let's give them something they're not expecting." The Shadowfall suddenly reversed course, diving directly toward the Zalaxian patrol ships. The alien vessels, confused by this unexpected tactic, hesitated just long enough for Lisa's ship to slip between them. "Fire," Lisa ordered. The Shadowfall's main cannons lit up the darkness of space. The shot struck the communications array with pinpoint accuracy, causing cascading failures throughout the defensive grid. "It's working," Paul exclaimed. "Their automated defenses are going haywire." Before the Zalaxians could recover, space rippled as the main human fleet arrived. Earlier than planned, but perfectly timed to exploit the confusion. Admiral Carter's voice came through the communication system. "Looks like you started without us, Captain Young." "Just softening them up, Admiral," Lisa replied. "Their defensive grid is compromised." "All ships, engage according to revised Plan Delta," the Admiral ordered. "Let's show them what happens when someone finally fights back." The battle that followed was unlike anything the Zalaxians had faced in 3 centuries of conquest. The human ships didn't follow the expected patterns of retreat or disorganized resistance. They attacked in coordinated groups, each targeting specific weaknesses in the Zalaxian defenses. The Tarani ships, with their advanced sensor cloaking technology complemented by human tactical flexibility, penetrated deep into enemy territory. Vex boarding parties, backed by human marines, seized control of 2 Zalaxian cruisers before their crews could react properly. From the Indomitable's bridge, Admiral Carter directed the battle with calm precision. "Focus fire on their command." "Ship," she ordered. "Cut off the head and the body will fall." The Zalaxians fought back with increasing desperation. 1 human destroyer exploded under concentrated fire. 2 more took heavy damage, but the momentum had shifted. "Admiral," her tactical officer reported, "we're detecting unusual energy readings from their main facility. They may be preparing to self-destruct." Carter frowned. "They'd rather destroy their own supply depot than let it fall into enemy hands. Signal all ships. Prepare for shockwave." But the expected explosion never came. Instead, Lisa's voice came through the communication channel. "Admiral, this is Shadowfall. We've disabled their self-destruct sequence and have control of their main reactor." When the battle finally ended, the human-led alliance had achieved what no species had accomplished in 3 centuries, a decisive victory against the Zalaxians. More importantly, they discovered something unexpected in the depths of the facility. "They're prisoners," Sam Russell reported as his team moved through the lower levels. "Hundreds of them, different species." Among the freed prisoners was a thin, frail-looking being with translucent skin that glowed faintly from within. Despite its weakened condition, the other prisoners treated it with obvious respect. "Who are you?" Sam asked through his translator. The being studied him with eyes that seemed to see beyond the surface. "I am Nelavex, once leader of the last great resistance." Its voice was weak but clear. "We fought and failed. I have been prisoner for 50 of your years." "Well, you're free now," Sam said, helping the alien to its feet. "And the fight has begun again." News of the victory spread quickly through covert channels established by Dr. Maria Sullivan's communication team. On dozens of occupied worlds, slaves looked up from their labor as whispers reached them. The Zalaxians had been defeated. The impossible had happened, and on those worlds, small acts of defiance began. A Tarani worker accidentally damaged a production line. A Vex transport pilot took a slightly wrong turn, delaying an important shipment. An Elydian data manager introduced subtle errors into the Zalaxian census. For the first time in centuries, hope spread through the conquered stars. Someone had fought back and won. For ages, no one fought back. Until the humans did, Supreme Commander Drezkal of the Zalaxian Empire stood before the Dominion Council, his usually perfect posture now slightly bent with the shame of defeat. The council chamber was dark, lit only by the soft blue glow from the floor, casting long shadows across the faces of the 9 council members. "How is this possible?" asked the first voice, the highest authority in the Empire. "No species has successfully resisted us in 300 cycles." Drezkal's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep distress in Zalaxian body language. "These humans are different. They do not react as others do." When threatened, they attack rather than flee. When outnumbered, they adapt rather than surrender. Unacceptable, the second voice hissed. This resistance must be crushed immediately. Make an example of their world. I have already dispatched the 7th Annihilation Fleet, Drezkal reported. They will reach the human homeworld in 14 days. No planet has ever withstood an annihilation fleet. On Earth, the initial celebration of victory had given way to grim preparation. The Alliance knew the Zalaxian response would be swift and terrible. They're sending their biggest fleet, Ambassador Rellan of the Vex said during the emergency council meeting. His bark-like skin had grown pale with fear. We should scatter, hide. It is the only way some might survive. Hide where? Admiral Carter asked. If Earth falls, they will hunt down every last ally who helped us. There is no place in this galaxy to hide from their vengeance now. Commander Sam Russell entered the chamber escorting the frail form of Nelevex. The ancient resistance leader had recovered some strength since the rescue but still needed assistance to walk. The Zalaxians will not expect you to stand and fight, Nelevex said, voice raspy but clear. That is your advantage. In all their conquests, they have never faced a species that chose battle over surrender when confronted with an annihilation fleet. But their technology is still superior to ours, pointed out Colonel Alan Fisher. Even with what we've learned, we're outmatched. Perhaps, not entirely, said Dr. Maria Sullivan as she entered with a team of human and alien scientists. We've been studying the captured Zalaxian vessels. Engineer Paul Davis has made a discovery. Paul stepped forward, looking tired but excited. Their ships all use the same command protocols. If we can infiltrate their communication network, we might be able to disrupt their coordination during battle. As the council debated strategies, Lisa Young met privately with Admiral Carter. The Shadowfall can slip past their forward scouts, Lisa explained. We could plant false beacons, confuse their navigation systems. Admiral Carter studied the star charts. It's risky. If you're caught, there's no rescue possible. With respect, Admiral, we're past the point of playing it safe, Lisa replied. Throughout the Sol system, preparations for defense reached a fever pitch. Earth's orbital platforms were reinforced with weapons. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter became a minefield. Every ship capable of carrying weapons was pressed into service. Deep in a secure bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Maria Sullivan worked with Ben Rivera and a team of linguists to create a virus that could infiltrate Zalaxian communication systems. Their work was based on information provided by Nelevex and data recovered from the captured supply depot. Their language is highly mathematical, Maria explained to Admiral Carter during a briefing. We've created what amounts to a logical paradox in their communication protocols. When transmitted, it should create confusion in their automated systems. Meanwhile, not everyone in the Alliance remained loyal. Commander Sam Russell discovered encrypted transmissions being sent from Luna Base towards Zalaxian space. Someone is feeding them information, he reported to Admiral Carter. Details about our defenses, our plans. Find the traitor, she ordered. We can't afford any surprises. Sam's investigation led him to an aide in the Vex delegation. When confronted, the alien broke down. The Zalaxians promised my family would be spared, the aide confessed. 3 generations of my bloodline, all serving as house attendants on Zalus Prime. What choice did I have? Everyone has a choice, Sam replied. Even slaves. As the Zalaxian fleet entered the outer reaches of the Sol system, humanity faced its greatest test. Admiral Carter addressed the combined forces from the bridge of the Indomitable. For centuries, the Zalaxians have conquered without serious resistance. Species after species submitted, choosing slavery over extinction. Today we make a different choice. Her voice carried to every ship, every station. Today we show the galaxy that tyranny can be opposed, that freedom is worth fighting for, that humans do not bow to threats. The massive Zalaxian annihilation fleet emerged from jump space near Neptune. Over 300 vessels, each larger and more powerful than anything in the Human Alliance fleet. At their center was the command sphere, a massive battle station that served as both flagship and mobile fortress. By the Ancient Ones, whispered Kurtal, the Tarani elder who had joined Admiral Carter's staff. "I have never seen so many warships in one place. And they've never seen anyone stand against such a fleet," Admiral Carter replied. "Until today." The battle for Earth began with a surprise. As the Zalaxian fleet formed up for their standard approach, they discovered that several of their navigational beacons had been replaced. Their carefully planned formation dissolved into confusion as ships found themselves off course. From hidden positions throughout the system, Alliance vessels launched coordinated strikes against isolated Zalaxian ships. Major Nancy Collins led special forces teams in boarding actions, targeting command vessels with precise strikes. For a brief moment, it seemed the human strategy might work. But the Zalaxians quickly adapted. Their superior numbers began to tell as one Alliance ship after another fell to concentrated fire. "They're breaking through our outer defense line," reported Colonel Fisher from his position coordinating the asteroid belt defenses. "Saturn's orbital stations are gone." On the Indomitable's bridge, Admiral Carter watched grimly as the tactical display showed the Zalaxian advance. "Fall back to Mars position. Activate the minefields." The space between Jupiter and Mars became a graveyard of ships as the hidden explosives took their toll on the Zalaxian fleet. But still they came, their losses seemingly meaningless to them. "We've hurt them," Jack Palmer told Lisa aboard the Shadowfall. "But not enough." Lisa stared at the tactical display at the enormous command sphere now moving toward Earth. She made her decision. "Plot a course directly for their command ship," she ordered. "We're going to finish this." "That's suicide," Jack protested. Lisa met his eyes. "Maybe. But if we don't stop them here, Earth falls. And if Earth falls, no one will ever dare to resist them again." The Shadowfall turned and accelerated toward the heart of the Zalaxian fleet, beginning what would later be known as one of the most daring military maneuvers in human history. For ages, no one fought back, until the humans did. The Shadowfall moved like a ghost through the chaos of battle, its advanced stealth systems making it nearly invisible among the explosions and debris. Lisa Young stood steady on the bridge as her ship weaved between massive Zalaxian warships. "Stay on course," she ordered. "Engineer Davis, is the package ready?" Paul nodded, his face grim but determined. "Yes, Captain. Dr. Sullivan's virus is loaded and ready, but we'll need to get within 100 meters of their central communication hub to deploy it." "Understood." Lisa turned to her pilot. "Take us in." The Shadowfall accelerated toward the enormous command sphere that directed the Zalaxian fleet. Its surface was covered with weapon emplacements and shielded by energy fields that had never been breached. "Captain," Jack warned, "we're picking up targeting scans. They've seen us." "Evasive maneuvers," Lisa ordered. "But stay on course." Energy beams lashed out from the command sphere, several grazing the Shadowfall's hull. Warning lights flashed across the bridge as systems began to fail. "Hull breach on Deck 3, reported the damage control officer. "Emergency force fields. Holding." Lisa held tight to her command chair as the ship shuddered. "Distance to target?" 800 meters, the navigator answered. 700, 600, another hit rocked the ship. Paul Davis was thrown from his station but crawled back to his console. "Shields failing," Jack reported. "One more direct hit and we're done." 300 meters, the navigator called out. Lisa opened a channel to all hands. "This is the captain. Prepare for impact. It's been an honor serving with you all." The Shadowfall made its final approach, taking hit after hit, but somehow staying intact long enough to reach its target. "Now!" Lisa shouted. Paul activated the FOIR device. The virus package shot from the ship and attached to the command sphere's communication array. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, lights across the massive Zalaxian vessel began to flicker. "It's working," Paul exclaimed. "Their systems are—" His words were cut off as a massive explosion tore through the Shadowfall's engine section. The bridge went dark, emergency lights casting a red glow over the crew. "Abandon ship," Lisa ordered. "All hands to escape pods." As the crew evacuated, Lisa stayed at her post, ensuring the ship remained on course long enough for the virus to complete its work. Jack refused to leave her side. "The virus needs another 30 seconds to fully upload," he said. "After that, their whole command structure will collapse." Lisa nodded. "Then we give it 30 seconds. Across the solar system, the battle raged. Earth's defenses were crumbling under the relentless Xalaxian assault. Admiral Carter watched from the Indomitable as one by one, the defensive lines fell. "Admiral," her communications officer called out, "the Xalaxian fleet, they're slowing down. Something's happening." On the tactical display, the perfectly coordinated movements of the Xalaxian ships began to falter. Some stopped completely. Others began moving in random directions, colliding with each other. "It's Captain Young," Admiral Carter realized. She did it. The command sphere, heart of the Xalaxian fleet, suddenly went dark. Without its guidance, the complex attack formations of the Annihilation fleet dissolved into confusion. "All ships," Admiral Carter ordered, "concentrate fire on the command sphere. Don't let them recover." The Alliance fleet, battered but not beaten, rallied for one final push. Ships from Earth, Tyranny vessels, and even the few Vex cruisers converged on the now vulnerable Xalaxian command ship. On the Shadowfall, Lisa and Jack made their way to the last functioning escape pod as the ship began to break apart around them. 10 seconds to complete system failure," Jack reported, checking the ship's dying computer. "That's all we needed," Lisa said as they reached the pod. "Let's go home." The escape pod ejected just as the Shadowfall broke apart. From their small viewport, Lisa and Jack watched as the Alliance fleet hammered the crippled command sphere. Massive explosions bloomed across its surface until finally, the giant vessel split in two, its power core detonating in a blinding flash. Without their command ship, without their perfect coordination, the once unstoppable Xalaxian fleet fell into disarray. Some ships tried to retreat, others fought on, but in an unorganized manner that the human-led forces could counter. "This is Admiral Carter to all ships," came the broadcast. "Push forward. The enemy is breaking. Today we win not just for Earth, but for every world they've ever conquered." The battle for Earth lasted another 6 hours, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. When the last Xalaxian ship either retreated or was destroyed, cheers erupted across the Alliance fleet. 1 year later, Lisa Young stood on the bridge of a new ship, the Liberator. No longer a captain, but now an admiral, she led the Alliance's liberation fleet. Behind her stood representatives from a dozen formerly enslaved species, Tyranny, Vex, Illidians, Novans, and others who had joined the fight once they saw it could be won. "Admiral," her communications officer called. "We're receiving transmissions from the surface of Novan Prime. The last Xalaxian forces have surrendered." Lisa nodded. "Send word to Earth. Another world is free." In the council chamber on Earth, Dr. Maria Sullivan presented her findings to the newly formed Galactic Cooperative, the alliance that had grown from the ashes of war. "The data recovered from Xalus Prime is revealing," she explained. "The Xalaxians themselves were conquered thousands of years ago by a species known as the Precursors. Their entire culture was reshaped to serve as conquerors, continuing a cycle of domination that has lasted millennia." Ambassador Greg Peters of Earth addressed the assembly. "Then our victory is even more significant. We've not just freed ourselves and our allies, we've broken a cycle of conquest that has plagued this galaxy for countless generations." As the meeting continued, Admiral Carter received a private message from the exploration vessel New Horizon, now charting the edges of known space. "Admiral," the captain reported, "we've detected unusual energy signatures from beyond the galactic rim. The pattern matches what Dr. Sullivan described as potential precursor technology." Carter's expression remained calm, but her mind raced, with implications. "Keep monitoring, Captain, and increase your distance. We may have won our fight against the Xalaxians, but the galaxy's greatest challenge may still lie ahead." On the view screen behind her, hundreds of liberated worlds now shone brightly, free from oppression for the first time in centuries. Whatever came next, they would face it together. a united galaxy that had finally learned to fight back.